Hey guys, what's going on? Back at it again with another video. Here I have my dad's BMW X1, my most viewed car tour. The lease on it is ending very soon. It ends in August, but we'll most likely be turning it in earlier. Having the car for almost 3 years, this is what we like and dislike about our 2018 BMW X1 xDrive28i. A short disclaimer, however, some of these may be a little nitpicky, and you may agree or disagree with them, but these are our opinions. Actually, just wanted to give a quick update. Over the few days that I've been filming this video, and I've been filming this very sporadically, it has been one constant day of filming. The X1 just hit 30,000 miles, and it's been doing great. No problems whatsoever. The first I have to say about this car is that overall, the design of it is beautiful. This is the second generation X1, and it looks sleeker and more sophisticated than the first. The color is also pretty interesting and is known as Sunset Orange Metallic. This is one of 11 available colors for the X1, and definitely one of the more unique colors you can get it in. X1s are pretty common around my area, but are mostly seen in black and white. There are only a handful of orange ones. We originally didn't intend on getting this color, but this car was a loaner from the dealership we leased it from. Lucky for us, this color actually made the lease price cheaper, and over the past 3 years, we've grown to love it. It also shines in the sun pretty nicely. Moving on to the next like, this one can apply to all BMWs, but we love the run flat tires. My dad actually got a flat tire with this car, but thanks to them, they were easy to replace. However, they came at a price. It cost $280 to replace one tire. The good thing is that should something like that happen to you, it's completely fine to drive on them without having to pull over to change it or wait for AAA. The only thing worth noting about them is that they are very sensitive to cold weather and sudden changes in pressure. Now, although this third like probably applies to many cars, we particularly like it in the X1. It's our heated seats and steering wheel. You can find the button for the heated steering wheel right here, right under the steering wheel itself. And the controls for the heated seats are found right underneath the climate controls. Both the driver and passenger have 3 stages. This was especially perfect this past winter. We just came off of a very cold and snowy February. It's April now, so we don't really need them as much, but it's really good to have. Both the seats and the steering wheel heat up pretty quick and they get pretty toasty, so it's always good to have, especially in the colder winter months. Another like that we have is that this car is very spacious and perfect if you're single, a couple, or have a small family with one kid. We think this car is practical enough to satisfy those demographics. But if you have a larger family with maybe 2 or more kids, it might be best to look into something bigger, such as an X3, as it's more roomy. My dad is the primary driver of this car, and he's usually the only one in it when he drives. It's just spacious enough, has just the right amount of cargo space to satisfy his needs, and it's also very comfortable to drive, especially for one person. It has 58.7 cubic feet of cargo space with the seats folded down, which is outstanding for a subcompact SUV, beating out both the Audi Q3 and Mercedes-Benz GLA 250. And surprisingly, it only has 5 less cubic feet than the compact X3. Next on the likes is BMW's complimentary maintenance program, known as BMW Ultimate Care. This one holds true for anyone who owns or leases a BMW from 2017 or newer. BMW offers a free maintenance program, which includes such services ranging from free oil changes to battery replacements for your key. However, this only applies to the car's first 3 years or whenever it reaches 36,000 miles, whichever comes first. This is ideal if you're planning on leasing instead of buying. In our case, it works out perfectly since we have a 30,000 mile lease on the car, putting us at a total of 34,500 miles, and we're looking to turn it in before it hits 3 years at the end of August. To learn more about this maintenance program, I'll leave a link in the description box below. Now, this last like needs no introduction. But the acceleration and handling on the X1 are phenomenal. The 2-liter Turbo 4 is very peppy and gets up to speed quickly and with ease. I hardly have to touch the gas and it has no trouble merging onto the highway. It has 228 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, and could do 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds. Since the car is lower to the ground, the handling is great too. Despite it being considered an SUV, it handles like a sports car, as any BMW should. It takes corners and curves like a champ, very similar to the 2015 328i xDrive we had directly before this. Now, while there are so many things we love about this car, there's some things we don't. Here are the dislikes we have with the 2018 BMW X1. Now, the first dislike we have about the X1 can either be interpreted as a like or a dislike, but personally, we dislike this. Like with all subcompact SUVs, the step-in height seems pretty low, but it seems more significantly lower on the X1 than any of its competitors, such as the Q3 and the GLA. With such a low step-in height, it almost seems as if this car is too low to be considered an SUV. But if that isn't your concern and you want to feel as if maybe you're stepping into like a sports sedan, then this car is perfect for you. This dislike depends on where you live, but at the time of recording this video, gas prices are going up in New York, in some places averaging over $3 a gallon. To get the best mileage out of the X1, it's best if you use 91 to 93 octane premium gasoline, which can get you to over a 400-mile range. The price of premium gasoline is close to $4 a gallon in some areas, and the X1 has a 16.1-gallon fuel tank, so just keep in mind that if you need to fill up, you're going to have to spend a lot. Although this may fluctuate if gas prices become cheaper, this is also something to keep in mind if you're going to be doing a lot of city driving rather than highway driving. There's some things we dislike about the interior of the car as well. First, the center console right here is very low. Technically, it isn't really a center console, it's more of an armrest with a top shelf. But even when driving, your arm rests really low, and it can be very difficult to drive like this. And it's hard to adjust as well. It can be adjusted, but it's very tough. Another thing I'd like to point out is that the knobs just feel very cheap, and they make a lot of noise too. And one thing that's a real pet peeve of mine is that the power button isn't even in a fixed position. So whenever you turn the knob, the power button turns with it. It's just a little annoying, but the knobs themselves are just very noisy and just don't feel like they're a premium quality. However, being that this is an X1, it might not have that premium BMW feel. This could honestly be just a way to cut costs and make this car pretty cheap. Also, the navigation screen is pretty small. I mean, this is the entire infotainment system, and there are some borders right here, but this is really all the screen you get in the X1. But if you were to move up to maybe an X3 or an X5, I know you would get like a bigger screen that would maybe extend out to here, and there would be more real estate for the navigation and the map. But honestly, the map just seems kind of small. The graphics seem a little crunchy, and it seems a little outdated. But I will say it is very responsive to touch, which is good. Lastly, I'd like to point out that the screen for the backup camera is also very small, and while the guidance lines are a huge help, parking sensors would make it a lot easier. And that's all we have. Thank you all for watching our likes and dislikes of our 2018 BMW X1 xDrive28i. I hope this will influence your decision when picking up one of these. The X1s have been facelifted for 2020 and 2021 and contain most of the same features and specs as the 2018. Only a few new features have been added. Before I go, I want to thank you all for the love and support on my videos, as well as 100 subscribers. You guys rock. There will be more content coming very soon.